Raw vlog recorded in front of a live beverage. Raw and unedited. Raw vlog recorded in front of a live beverage. Raw and unedited. Good morning, and welcome to Raw Vlog 53. As so stated, raw vlogs are recorded in front of a live beverage, raw and unedited. I'm Alan. This is the Air Horn channel, which is the companion channel to my MTB ALAN channel. Hit that corner link if you want to watch videos of writing, product reviews, guides, stuff like that. Over here, we are more about podcasts and these raw vlogs, interviews, things like that. I'm kind of quiet right now because the ladies are still in bed, so don't want to disturb them too much. Our subject matter for today is transference of skill, which will bring us to just kind of like foundational skills. So I am totally unprepared this morning. It is pretty early because I've got a lot of stuff going on today and I just needed to get this in. Or I wanted to get this taken care of so I could have it ready for you Friday morning. So channel news. What is channel news? Channel news is that this weekend I'm planning to get some coaching from a local mountain bike coach. I'm pretty stoked on that. I feel like I've gotten some fundamentals down, but I'm sure there are some gaps, which is kind of why I'm wanting to talk about fundamental skills and transference of skill and things like that. In other news, this Monday's video will be about that character that can hit you on the trail, that can be on the trail with you and just cause problems. They don't know when to stop. They you try to, maybe you get to the point where you're just trying to like have fun with it, but in the end it can be pretty dangerous if you don't directly address this character on the trail. So watch out for that this Monday. Just trying to think of any other channel news that I might have. Stoke of the week. Today's Stoke of the week is the fact that I'm starting to get back up to speed at Snow Summit. Last weekend, sorry, my nose is tickly this morning. Don't worry, I'll wash my hands. This last weekend, I hit Miracle Mile for the first time, and that felt good to do it. It was pretty rough. Some of that, I think, was due to the fact that that trail is a bit more rugged this year. It seems like a lot of the dirt has gotten washed away or blown away or whatever, and a lot of the rocks are way more exposed. So it does make it a more kind of, I don't want to say legit, but I guess just a more legit downhill trail. And at the same time, I was a little bit knocked back, I guess, because when I was last riding that, my strength level and my confidence level was a lot higher. So I could get to the bottom of that trail and feel just fine. And by the time I got to the bottom of Miracle Mile this last weekend, I actually felt a bit tired, which was a bit disheartening, but continuing to work on skills and fitness and getting kind of all that back together, or as back together as I can get it. So yeah, the race runs segment of this raw vlog, of this one person podcast, is where we talk about just kind of race and ethnicity for just a minute. I've been thinking about how there have been times when I feel like my ethnicity or my skin color has, I want to say, almost benefited me. There's been times when it's allowed me to kind of stand out in a crowd, allowed me to be more memorable. But of course, that can go both ways. And I have enjoyed the benefits of that in the past. I've also, I guess, kind of suffered the consequences of that in the past. So it's this kind of weird thing where, any situation, a person of color or a black or an indigenous person might walk into, you just never know how that aspect of yourself is going to be perceived. And it's an aspect of yourself that you can't change. You have no control over. It's not like I can, change my shirt. It's not like changing my shirt or getting a haircut or anything like that, or getting a tattoo. What I found interesting, just thinking about this, was when I went to India, there was this whole period where I was just amazed that I was one of the accepted ethnicities, I guess. I don't want to talk about majority because, in the United States where we are, I don't know if the so-called white ethnicity is the majority anymore. But in any case, in India, I looked like kind of everybody else. To some degree, there was some interesting stuff about that, but it was really interesting to just be another clown on the bus, as it were, or just another part of, like my ethnicity never came into, was part of the conversation. Yeah, so there's that. So let's jump into our main subject matter. I've got a Sharpie and I've got a piece of paper, and we're going to be doing some diagrams because we're talking about building a structure of skill and, I guess, also fitness. So the whole concept, okay, and this is a concept that I feel will, like, if you don't already have a good grasp of this, or you don't employ this in your writing and also, I guess, in your daily life, this can really change how you see things and how you go about things. So the idea of transference of skill is that, if it's not already clear, any skill that you acquire can transfer to another skill. It doesn't mean that that skill can just be applied all over the place. You don't want to get into that mindset of everything looks like a nail because you have a hammer, but there's overlap from skill to skill. So let's say I've got a skill which is going to be represented as a circle. So there's my first skill. Now, what's maybe not obvious here is that there are a whole bunch of other skills that you may not have acquired yet. And I'm going to draw them in like lighter circles. So there you go. I don't know if that's clear to you, but like this is the skill that you've acquired. And then these are the other skills. And this might be like pumping on rollers or something like that. And then maybe this one over here is like body position. And then over here is maybe like bike body separation, those kind of things. So, if these are our base skills, this gives us a foundation to build more advanced skills. So there might be drawing some more circles on top, essentially making a pyramid of circles. I know that they start to get funky towards the top, but the idea here is that if I've got this one, right, it gives me access to these maybe two other skills here. Just imagine whatever those are. Maybe one of them is doing a little bit of a bunny hop, or maybe jumping off of a little jump without full-on bunny hop skills. But you haven't gotten to this skill over here, and you definitely haven't gotten to this one way up top. So there's no connection. So the idea here is kind of wherever they touch, you have access to those skills. So let's stick with me. I'm going to draw a red line now. What's this red line mean? Draw a red line at the bottom of this. I'm going to draw one red line because I've run out of ink in my red pen. So this red line at the very bottom underneath these foundational skills is the danger zone. And basically the idea is if something goes wrong while you're employing this skill, you're going to go into the danger zone, and this is where injury happens. This is where breaking your bike happens. This is where just problems happen down here. So the idea is if you're trying for this skill up here, which is one whole row above where you're at, you might be able to get that, maybe that's trying to do a whip on a jump. But if something goes wrong, you don't have the skills, the next level down skills to save you. And that's kind of how that works. So if you're down here and you have maybe the ability to pump, but you don't have the bike body position understanding, you don't have bike body separation, and some of these skills might also be bike setup. If those things aren't there, you don't know which direction things are going to go when things go wrong. So you're not necessarily going to go, if you're lucky, you're going to go straight down to the ability to pump, and that's going to save you. But if something happens and it throws you off to the side, where maybe you need, the ability to, I don't know what that ability is. It's something else. We'll just say bike body separation or something like that. It's not going to be there, and things are going to go wrong, right? One example I can think of that happens for me pretty regularly up at Snow Summit is if I'm in a big berm turn and I'm going at high speed. There's times when I might come into the line a little bit wrong, or there's a pine cone in the way and I can't hit the line that I normally hit. That bike body separation allows me to make an adjustment in that turn that I wouldn't normally be able to do if I didn't have the comfort and skill with bike body separation. So it's really easy to either, fall back on a less advanced skill of turning my handlebars or hitting my brakes or just doing nothing, and then that's going to cause a crash. So the idea is you don't want to build a tower. So you don't want to have this kind of situation. So maybe you've got pumping, and then you've started jumping on tabletops, and then maybe you're also starting to do a little bit of whips, so getting your tail out or something like that, because you don't have these other foundational skills to support you when things go wrong. Because if you've been riding mountain bikes for any amount of time, that part of being on the trail is things going wrong, but then recovering from them, having a rock be in the middle of a trail, and then you got to do something to deal with that rock, whether that's swerve around it or bunny hop over it or whatever your skills are. So that's kind of the idea there. So again, if you're in this situation where you've kind of developed an upside down pyramid of skills, at this point it's way easier to get hurt. And also, I think it's really hard actually to, if we're looking at these two skills up here that are sit on top of this one, I've made a little Mickey Mouse here, I guess. You don't really have those skills. You have I'm going to fully color in this bottom one. So I've partly colored in these top two ones. So you have maybe a little bit of those skills, but they're not really there. So in order to really fully get that skill, we need these other two down here. So if you have that, if you started like really working on these foundational skills, it really fills in these other more, I guess I should say, intermediate skills. And the idea is the more of these base skills you have, the not only is it safer to work on these other skills, you actually start learning them faster, because now you can see that with these three, now I've got these two, and then this one skill up here. Which do you remember what skill this was? Let's say this is whipping on a jump. Now you have way more foundation for that one. So every level of foundation acts as the foundation for the next level of foundation up. So that's just, I know that's pretty basic. Is it basic? I feel like we understand these things just kind of in general, but sometimes for me, seeing it visually really helps me remember to go back to those foundational skills. So I've been thinking about this because we're doing coaching soon. I think this also applies just across the board. One skill that I think is really, really important in writing, in your life, in your relationships, is being uncomfortable. That doesn't necessarily sound like a skill, but maybe it's a practice, maybe it's an ability, a capability, but I look at it as a skill. So being able to be uncomfortable when I'm training, being uncomfortable going into a feature that I'm maybe scared of. I'm a little uncomfortable about the coaching session that I'm going to be doing this weekend, just because I didn't know what to expect. I know I'm going to get suggestions and I'm going to be asked to do things that are outside of my comfort zone, because that's kind of the idea. I've been doing things I'm sure that could be corrected, and there's things that I haven't even thought about doing that I'm going to be asked to do. I'm not going to know how they're going to feel. So being able to be uncomfortable in those things. I think also these foundational skills gives us a broader range of responses to situations. So for instance, I was talking about using that bike body separation in a berm. I've also found it useful in a rock garden. I have good tires, which allows me to get the bike off angle in a rock garden. And while I don't always suggest going into a rock garden with your bike off angle, there have been times when I've needed to do that in order to correct or save something. And if I didn't have a broader range of skills, I'm just going to default back to whatever my base level skills would be, and those base level skills, again, if you go back to the everything looks like a nail because all you have is a hammer, you can see how that can cause problems. I know when I was starting out, it was really easy for me to just grab brake. Whatever happened, if I got scared, if I got worried, just grab brake. And that probably led to more crashes than anything else in my riding. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. I felt like there was something else I was going to talk about there. I think that's one of the major skills. I think the other skill really quickly is the ability to respond with openness, I guess. I know when I'm going into any feature or any trail, I have an intention, but I also I try to keep a high level of flexibility and openness to whatever that trail is going to offer me. So if I'm expecting to hit a jump a certain way and something happens and it puts me in a different line, I have to adjust to that and not just go with my plan A. I have to be able to change to plan B really quickly. And obviously you can see how this would apply in just broader philosophical approach to life. So yeah, I think I think we're like at 20-ish minutes or something like that. So that's my whole spiel for today. Hope that makes sense. Let me know about your experiences with learning skills. If you've found that you've ended up in a place where you've missed a couple of foundational skills and didn't know about it until things went wrong. I know I've experienced that a number of times. Yeah, hope you dug it. Check to see if you're subscribed. If you're not, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. Hit me in the comments, and I'll see you next week.